students, I am Jyoti. Today we will explore part 1 of chapter 1 Nutrition in Plants of class 7 Science. So stay focused as this session is going to be extremely helpful in your understanding of this chapter. So the chapter we are taking today is Nutrition in Plants of class 7th. This is going to be session 1. In this session, we will cover the following topics: nutrients and sources of nutrients, introduction to the cell, nutrition, modes of nutrition in plants, photosynthesis, stomata and raw materials for photosynthesis. Let us see our targeted learning outcomes of today's session. After completion of the session, students will be able to define nutrition, understand different modes of nutrition, explain the process of photosynthesis in plants, list out the raw materials necessary for photosynthesis, appreciate and inculcate sensitivity towards the environment. Today, we are going to explore one of the basic yet very significant life process. So, stay tuned. I will try to make your learning journey easy, interesting and joyful. So, this is going to be a quick recall of the topic that you have learnt in previous class. Let us observe what we have on the screen. Can you identify what this picture depicts? Yes, these are the different components of food and are called nutrients, which are of course very essential for sustaining a healthy life. Here in this picture, we have carbohydrates and fats. Both provide energy for performing different activities. We have proteins, which are essential for growth and maintenance of damaged parts of the body. Also, vitamins and minerals are there, which protect us from various diseases. Before proceeding towards our chapter, just observe another picture presented on the screen. Here we can see the pictures of two organisms, one plant and the other of course human being. On what criteria we can say that these organisms are living things? Both of them show growth, movement and of course considered to be living as different life processes like respiration, excretion, nutrition, etc. take place in both. Both these organisms are made up of many small units. See, do you know what a house is made up of? Yes, of course, we need bricks. When we assemble them together, a house is made. Bricks are the basic building blocks of the house. Similarly, human beings and plants, and we can say all living organisms, are made up of very small basic units, what we call as cells. Yes, dear students, these are living cells. Therefore, we are all made up of cells, right? These cells form the structure of a living organism and all the life processes take place in these individual cells only. Let us try to define the cell. Cell is the smallest unit of life. Moreover, we can call the cell as the basic structural and functional unit of life. all we need to have the basic understanding of the structure of the cell. The cell is enclosed by a thin outer boundary called the cell membrane. It provides the protection to the cell content. Imagine them just like the boundary of your homes. What is visible in the center? Yes, this spherical structure is nucleus. It acts as the control center of all the activities of the cell, just like our brain controls all the activities of the body. Also, in between the cell membrane and the nucleus, a jelly-like substance called cytoplasm is filled. It gives shape to the cell and holds the components of the cell. You will study about cell in details in higher classes. In this chapter, you just need the basic understanding of the cell. Let us explore something else in the previous picture of living organism. Can you observe some differences between the two organisms? So, if you see, there are various differences that exist, like plants do not show locomotion, whereas animals do. Generally, we consider locomotion and movement as same. That's not true. Movement is when the living organism moves a body part or parts to bring without a change in the position of the organism. Locomotion is when the movement of a part of the body leads to change in the position and locomotion of the organism. I think this point has become crystal clear to you. Plants can make their food themselves, whereas animals cannot. Doesn't it sound amazing? In true sense, plants are our life. Do you agree? Certainly, yes. Only plants can make their food themselves. In this chapter, we will study in detail about nutrition in plants. Before moving ahead, let me ask you a simple question. You perform various activities throughout the day, whether it is playing, walking, writing, dancing, and the list goes on and on. For performing all these activities, what do we require? As simple as that, we need energy. Even when we sleep, we need energy for various life processes taking place in our body. So, where is the energy coming from? Yes, from the food we eat. So, what do? We take food in our body and only then it gets used by our body. For example, when we eat food, it produces energy and then only we are able to perform any activity, right? And this is what we call as nutrition. Students, if I have to define nutrition, I can say that nutrition is nothing but the intake of food by an organism and its utilization in the body. Utilization literally means how it is used by the body for regulating different functions. Now that we have understood what nutrition is, now try to understand where does our food come from. Let us take our own example. If we talk about the human beings, we obtain our food from plants and animals. But what about the other animals? Just make it simple and clear with the help of the picture shown here. You can see that there is a deer in this picture and also a tiger, and of course the beautiful green plants. Tell me, what is the deer going to eat? Very simple. It will eat only grass. But what about the tiger? What is the tiger going to eat? Green plants? No, never. The tiger will feed on the deer. Here, the question arises, who depends upon whom for their food? Well, we know the deer is directly dependent on plants for its food. The tiger depends upon the deer for its food. So, we can conclude that the tiger is indirectly dependent on plants for their nutrition. Yes, of course. Therefore, all animals are directly or indirectly dependent on plants for their food. Now, a big question arises. Plants are the source of food for all other organisms, but where do plants get their food from? Think about it. Very simple yet amazing. Green plants can make their food themselves. Listen here. I am focusing on green plants, not plants. Only green plants. Very important point to remember. We call this type of nutrition as autotrophic mode of nutrition. Now, let us see. Why do we call it autotrophic? Just split this word. Auto means self and trophos means nourishment, which means the mode of nutrition in which organisms make their food themselves from the simple substances. Only green plants are capable of doing it. Such organisms which make their food themselves are called autotrophs. Let us think about other organisms. Are they capable of producing food of their own? The answer is no. Animals and some plants here refer to non-green plants like mushrooms that depend upon other organisms for their food. We call it heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Here, hetero means others and trophos stand for the nourishment. All other organisms except green plants exhibit heterotrophic mode of nutrition, and such organisms are called heterotrophs, like all animals including human beings and non-green plants like mushrooms. Let us move ahead. Here you can see leaves are referred to as food factories of the plants. Why? They are called so because food is manufactured in leaves of a plant. As mentioned earlier, the green plants prepare their food themselves. And what we call this process? Yes, we call it photosynthesis. When I was a student of your age, I wondered, why is this process called so? It is named such because if we split it, we get two words, photo and synthesis. Here, photo means light and synthesis means to combine. As this process takes place only in the presence of sunlight and there is combining of certain materials to make their own food, that's why we call it photosynthesis. Let us understand that process, how the leaves produce food in the plants. Photosynthesis is the process in which green plants make their food themselves from carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to form glucose and a byproduct oxygen. Here we can say carbon dioxide and water combine together to make food in the presence of sunlight and the chlorophyll. Let us see what we are getting as food in this process. Glucose is formed and a very important byproduct named oxygen is given out during this process. Do you know that oxygen is necessary for the survival of the organisms? Certainly yes. Let's move on to the new topic, that is on raw materials. Most often when we talk about the raw materials that are needed for photosynthesis, we say carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll. Sunlight and chlorophyll are essential conditions for the process of photosynthesis. In absence of any one of these required conditions, photosynthesis cannot take place. Now, we are going to discuss about the essential conditions for photosynthesis to occur. One of this is solar energy. Yes, energy from the sun. It has heat as well as light energy, but plants require light energy for the preparation of food. Light energy of sun is captured by the leaves and stored in the plant in the form of food by the process of photosynthesis. Therefore, sun is called the ultimate source of energy. That's why we can say that the solar energy is the basis of our life. Life exists on the earth because of sun. Moving towards the other essential condition, that is chlorophyll. It is a wonder pigment. Thinking why it is called wonder pigment? That's because of its peculiar function. It is present in the leaves and helps leaves capture the energy of the sunlight. This energy is used to synthesize or prepare food from carbon dioxide and water. One more thing, leaves appear green due to the presence of this pigment. It imparts green color to the leaves. Just think, what would have happened if there was no chlorophyll in the leaves? Obviously, no photosynthesis takes place. It means no life is possible. Now the question arises, how water reaches to food factories of the plants? Yes, of course, we are talking about the leaves. As you have studied earlier in class 6, that water is absorbed by the roots of the plants and transported to the leaves by structures called vessels which run like pipes throughout the root, the stem, the branches and the leaves. They form a continuous path or passage for the nutrients to reach the leaf. So, feeling surprised? Nature is full of wonders, right? The second raw material needed by the plants to make their food is carbon dioxide. As we know, carbon dioxide is a gas present in our atmosphere. But how this gas enters the leaf? Let us explore. For better understanding of this concept, let us take a journey inside the leaf. As you can see on the screen, the leaves have tiny pores present mostly on the underside of the leaves, and we call them stomata. They have two kidney-shaped structure known as guard cell, which surrounds an opening known as stoma. So, carbon dioxide enters the leaf through these tiny openings called stomata. My dear learners, one more fascinating revelation is that there is someone else who can perform photosynthesis. Taken by surprise? Well, photosynthesis also takes place in green stems and green branches. For example, the desert plant has scale or spine-like leaves to reduce loss of water by transpiration. As there is a scarcity of water in deserts, these plants have green stems which carry out photosynthesis. On the basis of our understanding of photosynthesis, we can express it in the form of a chemical equation. I am pretty sure that you can do it easily. So, it can be written as shown on the screen. Carbon dioxide reacts with water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll to make glucose and oxygen. The food synthesized gets stored in the form of starch in the various parts of the plants. So, this is how nutrition takes place in the plants. Let us now have a quick recapitulation of what we have learned today. All organisms take food and utilize it to get energy for the growth and maintenance of their body. Green plants synthesize their food by themselves by the process of photosynthesis. So, they are called autotrophs. Plants use simple chemical substances like carbon dioxide, water and minerals for the synthesis of food. A few plants and all animals are dependent on others for their nutrition and are called heterotrophs. Carbon dioxide from the air is taken in through the tiny pores present on the surface of leaves called stomata. It's now time to find out the answers of the questions related to today's session. What are stomata? Write their functions. Why animals cannot make their food themselves? Which part of plants is known as food factories and why? What is a cell? Name its main components. Label the diagram given below. Which process does this picture depicts? With this, we have now come to the end of today's session. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you very much.